Mark chapter 13 verses 1 and 2. Then as he went out of the temple, one of his disciples said to him, Teacher, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here. And Jesus answered and said to him, Do you see these great buildings? Not one stone shall be left upon another, that shall not be thrown down. Jesus and the disciples were on their way to the Mount of Olives, which is located to the east of Jerusalem's old city. Its summit, at 815 meters, offered the perfect vantage point for views of the old city. The disciples' attention was captured by the temple, and they couldn't help expressing their pride. Teacher, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here. The temple they were speaking about was actually the second temple. The first one had been built during Solomon's reign and was also known as Solomon's Temple. Its dimensions were impressive: 180 feet long, 90 feet wide, and 50 feet high on the inside, and its highest exterior point was 207 feet. The temple, including its walls, beams, door frames, and doors, was covered in gold, and carved images of winged creatures adorned many of its surfaces. It was magnificent. It was the pride of the Israelite nation until it was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BC. Not only was the temple demolished at that time, but the nation was crushed as well. Many years later, while the Israelites were still in exile, the temple was rebuilt under the leadership of the prophets Ezra and Nehemiah. Inside the first temple, in the most holy place, the tablets of the Ten Commandments were kept, but these disappeared when the temple was razed by the Babylonians. In the second temple, the most holy place was empty and was much smaller size than the first. The glory of the rebuilt temple couldn't compare with the original. Later, during the first century, Herod, the Roman appointed head of Judea, undertook extensive renovations of the temple. It was this temple the disciples stood gazing at, a building that had already been under construction for more than 46 years. An unfinished temple, remodeled by a king who was appointed by the conqueror of their people, was the object that the disciples were so enthralled by. How could they be proud of such a building or such a king? One who was appointed by a corrupt regime instead of being anointed by God. Not to mention that this temple they were boasting about was filled with all kinds of ungodliness and wickedness. Jesus responded decisively to their prideful comments. Do you see these great buildings? Not one stone shall be left upon another that shall not be thrown down. In AD 70, the second temple met the same fate as the first one, when it was completely obliterated by the Romans. The disciples were proud of something that was not real, not lasting. It was pure vanity. What are you proud of? Is it something with a substance? Or are you proud of something fleeting and vain like the disciples? Jesus did not expect his disciples to rely on such transitory things. He did not want to build his church on vanity. Instead of he wanted them to build it on himself, the solid rock. What sustains you today? I pray that it is the firm foundation, the rock of ages, Jesus Christ, our Lord.